Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to, in this video, start to build out our Rails MVP application. And we're going to start by adding a couple gems, which are libraries that will support the functionality that we want to build. First off, I want to add the friendly ID gem. This friendly ID, it bothers me whenever I have URLs that have like a database ID that's part of the URL. It looks a little bit ugly to me and is also not as SEO friendly as it could be. So this gem that we're going to add, gem friendly ID, I'm just going to copy that and then go back to my application, and in my gem file, I'm going to just put that right here. I don't think I copied it. So by adding this gem, we'll be able to make our URLs look way better. Instead of having just a database ID up there, we can have it look a lot better. So that's one thing that we want to add. And then the other thing that we really want to add is authentication. That's the main thing we're going to add in this series of videos. So I'm just going to say, search for Rails Devise. Here, that's going to lead me to this GitHub page, and honestly, we're just going to follow the directions here. I've done this a million times, and you'll get comfortable with this as well. But if we're starting with Rails, we just want to add this gem to our gem file. Now from here, we'll just say bundle. Actually, before we do this, I want everyone to always be super comfortable with Git. Right now in Git, we only have the main branch. I'm going to say Git branch development, Git checkout development. So look, now we're on the development branch, Git branch. We can see that we're on development. That's going to become our main branch, and we'll set it up that way inside of GitHub. But for now that we're on the development branch, which is where we'll usually be creating feature branches off of it, now we're going to say Git branch authentication. So, and then we'll say Git checkout authentication. And now we're in the branch that we want to be in. So now that we're inside of this branch, I'm going to run bundle install. And what that's going to do is it's going to install these two gems. And once those gems are installed, we can now use them in our application. So everything's ready to go. We're going to go back over to the Devise page on GitHub. We're going to run this command, Rails generate Devise install. And what that'll do is just kind of install Devise inside of this application. Let's see. And I also want to follow this last step here. Rails that will copy the Devise views, the forms and everything. For when we say authentication, we're basically saying log in, log out, and create a new account, and also password reset. All of that stuff is given to us for free by using Devise, but we'll customize it just a little bit. But to start, it's going to give us a big head start by not having to implement all of that stuff. So the other thing I want us to remember to do is to set the root path for our application to be something. And for now, I've got this scratchpad miss text, and I keep just some random things inside of here that allows me to work on the application. But moving forward here, we want to run this. Actually, we'll go ahead and update the development RB file. If we go under config and environments in our Rails application, these represent different environments that our application can run in. And at the bottom of this development, we just want to tell Action Mailer where what URL this application will be running on, which in most cases for a Rails application will be localhost 3000. So we've done that, and now we're going to say Rails generate devise, and that model there is a generic term for our database model. And so we want to name the user here, or the database model, we want to name it user. So when we say Rails generate devise user, it'll create the migration. We'll go edit that file. It'll create the model class for the user, and it'll create a couple of other things here. So let's go real quick and look at the new migration file here. All of these things are, I'm going to go ahead and uncomment these trackable database columns here. I'm not going to worry about confirming or locking the user for this application. You could do that if you wanted to. I am going to add a few other fields that I typically add to applications, and I'll put those right down here. We want to have a name column in our database for the user. We want to have this slug is connected with the friendly ID gem. So for every user, we can have a URL that is nicer and cleaner in the slug column. We're going to have a role. We're going to have a role column so that users can have roles in our application, and then we're going to have this app auth token so that users can use our application via an API with that auth token. So I'm going to come back to my MIS file, and I want to copy this code and put it into my model class. And typically when you extend to something, you want it to be right at the top of your class. Now I did say okay, so now we have our simple user model that's ready to go, and we have our database table. So now we can come back here and just say rake db migrate, and that created the users table in the database. So if we open up pgadmin and just look at our databases, if I go to schemas, public tables, you can see this users table here, and you can see all the columns that we just created. So now our application's running. I'm going to say Rails S so that we can run the application. And now we have a lot of other things that we can do in our application with Devise. So without further ado, I do want to show you in our Rails application under the config file, this routes directory shows us where all of the URLs and all the routes for our application. Let me show you what I mean by that. So if I come to here, say users, let's see, is it sign in? I can't remember the exact. Okay, so it's underscore sign in. If I just hit this route, this is the route that I need that will allow me to sign in. So this is a Devise form. It looks terrible. It looks really ugly, but it does, allow us to sign in, sign up, and then we could also reset our password. So we'll clean this up. We'll make this look a lot nicer going forward. But for now, we've added authentication to our application, And we've also created a friendly ID. I haven't really shown you how that works yet, but I will in an upcoming video. And the point of this is for us to get the foundation great so we can build new applications really fast without having to do this over and over again. Thanks for watching, and come back for our next video. See ya.